One small mistake on your green card application could delay your case for years, or worse, lead to a denial. USCIS is watching closer than ever before, and thousands of applicants are making the same errors without even knowing it. Stay until the end, because mistake number one could be happening to you right now. If you're applying for a green card in 2025, you need to know that USCIS has tightened its review process significantly. With increased scrutiny on employment-based and family-based petitions, even minor mistakes are causing serious delays and denials. But here's the good news. Most of these mistakes are completely avoidable once you know what to look for. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 green card mistakes that USCIS is actively watching for right now. From documentation errors to interview mistakes, we'll cover everything you need to know to protect your application. Whether you're filing through marriage, employment, or family sponsorship, this video could save you months, even years, of waiting. So let's get started with mistake number 10. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most common reasons for application rejection. USCIS updates its forms regularly, and if you submit an old version, even by just a few months, your entire application can be rejected and sent back to you. That means lost time, lost filing fees, and starting all over again. Here's why this happens so often. Many applicants download forms from unofficial websites, or they use forms they saved months ago on their computer. They fill everything out carefully, pay the fees, mail everything in, and then weeks later, they receive a rejection notice. It's heartbreaking because the mistake was so easy to avoid. USCIS publishes the edition date at the bottom of every form. Before you submit anything, go directly to the official USCIS website and check that the form you're using matches the current edition date. This applies to Form I-485, I-130, I-140, I-765, and every other form in your packet. Even if you're working with an attorney, double-check the forms yourself. And here's another tip. If USCIS releases a new form version while your application is being processed, you usually don't need to resubmit. But if you haven't filed yet, always use the latest version. This one mistake is completely preventable, and it can cost you months of waiting. Don't let an outdated form derail your American dream. USCIS officers are trained to spot inconsistencies, and when they find them, red flags go up immediately. Even small differences in dates, addresses, job titles, or names across your forms can trigger a request for evidence or even lead to suspicion of fraud. Let me give you an example. Let's say on your Form I-485, you listed your employment start date as January 2022, but on your employer's letter it says you started in March 2022. To you, it might seem like a small typo, but to USCIS it raises questions. Did you lie? Is the employer letter fake? Are you hiding something? This happens more than you think, especially when applicants fill out forms over several weeks or months and don't keep track of what they wrote. Or sometimes they copy information from old documents without realizing dates or details have changed. The solution is simple but requires focus. Create a master document with all your key information: dates of entry into the U.S., employment history, addresses for the last 5 years, travel history, and family details. Use this master document every time you fill out a form. And before you submit, review everything side by side. Make sure your I-485, I-130, I-693, affidavit of support, and employer letters all match perfectly. Consistency shows USCIS that you're honest, organized, and credible. Don't give them a reason to doubt you. This is a big one, and it's where many applicants hurt themselves by trying to hide the truth. Whether it's overstaying a visa, working without authorization, or a previous denial, failing to disclose past immigration issues is one of the fastest ways to get your green card application denied. Here's what you need to understand. USCIS has access to your entire immigration history. Every visa you've ever applied for, every entry and exit from the U.S., every petition filed on your behalf, it's all in the system. If you think they won't find out, you're wrong. And when they do find something you didn't disclose, it's not just about the original violation anymore. Now it's about fraud and misrepresentation, which are much more serious. Let's say you overstayed your student visa by a few months years ago. It's in the past, you've moved on, and you think it doesn't matter. But if you don't mention it on your application and USCIS discovers it, they'll assume you were trying to hide it. That destroys your credibility and can lead to a permanent bar from getting a green card. The right approach is to disclose everything honestly and explain the circumstances. If you had an overstay, explain why. If you worked without authorization, provide context. USCIS appreciates honesty, and in many cases, past violations can be forgiven or waived, especially if you're eligible for adjustment of status. But hiding the truth will almost always make things worse. When USCIS sends you a request for evidence, or RFE, they're giving you a chance to fix a problem or provide missing information. But here's the catch. You usually only have 87 days to respond, and if you miss that deadline, your application can be denied automatically. No second chances. Many applicants panic when they receive an RFE. They think it means their case is in trouble, so they delay responding, or they try to gather perfect documentation and end up running out of time. Others simply don't understand what USCIS is asking for and submit incomplete or irrelevant documents. Both approaches lead to denials. Here's how to handle an RFE the right way. First, don't panic. An RFE is not a denial, it's an opportunity. Read the request carefully, multiple times if needed, and underline exactly what USCIS is asking for. If you're confused, consult with an immigration attorney immediately. Don't guess. Second, respond as quickly as possible. Don't wait until the last week. Gather your documents, organize them clearly, and include a cover letter that directly addresses each point in the RFE. Make it easy for the officer to see that you've provided everything they asked for. And finally, send your response using a trackable method like USPS certified mail or a courier service, and keep copies of everything you send. Missing an RFE deadline is one of the most preventable mistakes, and it can cost you your green card. Treat every RFE with urgency and precision. If you're applying for a green card through marriage, USCIS will scrutinize your relationship closely. They want to make sure your marriage is real and not just for immigration benefits. And if your evidence is weak, vague, or incomplete, you could face a denial or a lengthy investigation. Here's what many couples get wrong. They submit a few photos from their wedding, a joint lease, and maybe a bank statement, and they think that's enough. But USCIS wants to see a full picture of your life together. They want evidence from before the marriage, during the marriage, and continuing into the present. Strong evidence includes joint bank account statements showing regular activity, joint credit cards, car insurance or health insurance, listing both spouses, utility bills in both names, photos from different time periods and locations showing family and friends, affidavits from people who know you as a couple, travel records showing trips together, and communication records like texts or emails, especially if you were in a long-distance relationship. The key is to tell a story. USCIS officers are trained to spot fraudulent marriages, and they look for red flags like couples who don't live together, don't have shared finances, or can't answer basic questions about each other during the interview. If your marriage is real, prove it with consistent, detailed, and organized evidence. And if you're in a situation where you got married quickly or have limited documentation, include a detailed personal statement explaining your relationship timeline. Don't leave room for doubt. The medical examination is a required part of most green card applications, and mistakes on Form I-693 are causing major delays right now. USCIS has strict rules about how and when this form must be completed, and if your civil surgeon doesn't follow the guidelines, your form will be rejected. Here's what you need to know. First, your medical exam must be completed by a USCIS-approved civil surgeon. You can't just go to any doctor. Check the official USCIS website for a list of authorized doctors in your area. Second, the exam must be completed no more than 60 days before you file your I-485, or if you're filing concurrently, it must be completed close to your filing date and signed by the doctor within 60 days of your submission. Another common mistake is missing vaccinations. USCIS requires proof of certain vaccines, and if you don't have them, you must get them before your exam is complete. Some applicants try to skip vaccines or submit incomplete forms, and this leads to RFEs and delays. Also, make sure the civil surgeon signs and dates the form properly, seals it in an envelope, and that you don't open the envelope. If the seal is broken, USCIS may reject it. Before you leave the doctor's office, ask them to confirm that everything is complete and that they followed current USCIS guidelines. One mistake on your medical form can set your case back by months. Get it right the first time. Many applicants assume that once they file their green card application, they're protected and don't need to worry about their visa status anymore. That's not always true, and this mistake has led to serious consequences, including deportation. Here's the reality. If you're adjusting status from within the U.S., filing Form I-485 generally protects you from accruing unlawful presence while your application is pending. But if your I-485 is denied and you've been out of status, you could face removal proceedings. This is especially risky if you're on a temporary visa like H-1B, F-1, or L-1, and your visa expires while your green card is pending. The safest approach is to maintain valid status whenever possible. If you're on an H-1B, keep your employment valid. If you're on an F-1, stay enrolled. Don't assume your pending I-485 alone will protect you in every situation, especially if you travel outside the U.S. without advance parole, or if you change employers without proper authorization. Another critical point. If you're applying for a green card through employment and you switch jobs before your I-485 has been pending for 180 days, you could jeopardize your entire application. After 180 days, you can use AC-21 portability, but before that, you're generally locked into your sponsoring employer. This is complex, and every case is different. If you're unsure about your status while your green card is pending, consult with an immigration attorney. Don't make assumptions. Your future in America depends on staying compliant every step of the way. Before we get to the top 3 mistakes, I want to hear from you. Comment below and let me know where you're watching from and what stage you're at in your green card journey. Your green card interview is your chance to prove that everything in your application is true. But many applicants hurt their chances by showing up unprepared, giving inconsistent answers, or appearing nervous and unsure. USCIS officers are trained to assess credibility, and if something feels off, they will dig deeper. Here's how to avoid this mistake. First, review your entire application before the interview. Know what you wrote, what documents you submitted, and be ready to explain anything that might be questioned. If you're applying through marriage, you and your spouse should be able to answer questions about each other's daily routines, work schedules, family members, and future plans. Second, be honest. If you don't know an answer, say so. Don't guess or make something up. If the officer asks about a document you don't remember, it's okay to say you need to check. Lying or giving inconsistent answers is the fastest way to get denied. Third, bring originals of all your documents, even if you already submitted copies. USCIS may want to verify things on the spot. And dress professionally. It shows respect for the process. Finally, stay calm. Officers may ask tough questions or repeat questions to see if your answers stay consistent. That's normal. Take your time, think before you answer, and don't let nerves make you rush or contradict yourself. Your interview is the final hurdle. Prepare like your future depends on it, because it does. If you're applying for a family-based green card, your sponsor must submit Form I-864, the Affidavit of Support. This document proves that you won't become a public charge and that your sponsor has enough income or assets to support you. But mistakes on the I-864 are causing denials and delays every single day. Here's what goes wrong. Sponsors forget to include tax transcripts from the IRS, or they submit tax returns instead of transcripts, which USCIS does not accept. Others don't meet the income requirement and fail to include a joint sponsor or evidence of assets. Some sponsors fill out the wrong version of the form or forget to sign it. Let me be clear. The I-864 must be complete, accurate, and supported by official IRS tax transcripts for the most recent year. If your sponsor's income is below 125% of the federal poverty guidelines, you need a joint sponsor, or you need to show assets worth at least 5 times the difference. Also, Make sure the sponsor's income information matches what's on their tax transcripts. Any inconsistency will raise red flags. And if your sponsor is self-employed, additional documentation like business tax returns or profit and loss statements may be required. The I-864 is one of the most important documents in your application. A weak or incomplete affidavit can sink your entire case. Take it seriously, and if you're unsure, get help. Here's the #1 mistake that's causing applicants to miss critical notices, lose their cases, and even face deportation: not updating your address with USCIS when you move. By law, you are required to report any change of address to USCIS within 10 days of moving. If you don't, USCIS will continue sending notices to your old address, and you'll never receive them. Imagine this: USCIS schedules your interview or sends you an RFE, but the notice goes to an address where you no longer live. You never see it. You miss the deadline. Your case is denied or abandoned, and you have no idea until it's too late. This happens to thousands of people every year, and it's completely avoidable. When you move, file Form AR11 online immediately. It takes less than 10 minutes. You should also call USCIS or update your address through your online account if you filed electronically. Don't wait. Don't assume USCIS will figure it out. They won't. And here's another tip: even if you're moving temporarily, update your address. Use a permanent address where you know you'll receive mail, like a family member's home, if you're moving frequently. Missing a USCIS notice because of an address issue is one of the most frustrating and preventable ways to lose your green card. Your American dream is too important to lose over something this simple. Update your address, stay reachable, and protect your case. Getting a green card is one of the most important steps in your immigration journey, and avoiding these 10 mistakes can make all the difference between approval and denial. USCIS is watching closely, but now you know exactly what to avoid. If this video helped you, please hit the like button, subscribe to Immigration Law Station, and share this with anyone who's going through the green card process. And tell me in the comments, which of these mistakes surprised you the most? Let's keep this community strong. Your future in America starts with the choices you make today. Subscribe to my channel for all the latest in immigration news.